everyone, this is Mike at Back to Homesteading Off-Grid. You know me and Judy from our Off-Grid YouTube. Most of the time she takes care of cooking and baking and stuff, and I take care of stuff outside. One of the things that I do is every day I take a little bit of apple cider vinegar for my stomach, and I found that it was a lot cheaper to make it than to buy it, because it's like $8 a jar now in the store. And thanks to some friends of ours, online friends, Doug and Stacy, she taught me how to make apple vinegar at home, and other vinegars. You can use just about anything. I've made orange, I've made raisin and grape, and apple is my favorite, and I really enjoy that. It's so easy to make, and it just makes sense. My wife, of course, likes to bake. One of the things she did yesterday was she made an apple pie. This is the apple pie. Of course, we've eaten a little bit of it, but it's a wonderful apple pie. Well, you ask, what do you do with the cores and the skins and stuff when you make the apple pie? Well, you can feed it to the chickens, you can put it in the compost, or you can use it. I make the apple cider or the apple vinegar, and then we still have residuals to go into the compost, but we're getting a value-added product out of it. So over here, where Judy made the pie, these are the peelings. There's some cores in there, like that. There's seeds. We don't worry about any of that. This is just all the stuff that is left over from her peeling the apples. And it would be the same with, if you did an orange, you slice it up. Don't worry about the seeds or anything. And most of us have these jars, if we do any canning at home, different sizes. This is the half-gallon jar, and this is the size I like to make. And so, like I said, it's pretty simple. All you do is you make sure your hands are clean, and you just grab and shove them in there into the container here. And this is probably more than I need for one container. I do have a jar back here, if you can kind of see that is actually it's a gallon jug that's being made right now. Actually, I think it's wine because of that, but I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway, we're just going to stuff this full. It differs in one respect with making ferment, is you don't want to stuff it down. Just throw in there whatever's good. That's probably about the right amount. You can throw a little more if you want, whatever. Or you can split it into two if you want. This is plenty. The more you put in here, the more vinegary it will come out at the end. And but the less volume you get of vinegar, if that makes sense. So this I'm going to make into one. Then the next thing we do, instead of adding salt like you would on a ferment, we're going to add sugar. Now this is a third cup, and because my quarter cup's being used, you want about a quarter cup of sugar, and you're just going to dump it on top. Okay. Now in a few days, you're going to add another quarter cup of sugar. 3, 4, 5 days, whenever it feels good. And then what we need to do is we need water, and we're going to come over here to the sink. Stacy says to use like purified water. We get our water from a well, and it's never done me wrong. It's good, clean water. It's from deep in the earth. I don't worry about the minerals that are in it and stuff. So I'm just going to use the tap water. We're going to use cold. We don't have great water pressure because we're in an RV. We're going to add the water up. We don't want to get it too high because we don't want it dumping over. About there is fine. And then we're going to come back over here to the counter, and I use a wooden stake because you want to try to mix up that sugar that's in there, get it mixed around. See, I probably put a little too much apple in there, but it'll still work. The yeast or whatever that we're going to be feeding isn't going to care one way or the other. And during its first week, you want to do this every day. Mix it up. And then you're going to, after a few days, add some more sugar. Oops. And then you're going to continue to mix it up every day. Once you've passed a week or so, or especially if the fruit starts falling, you don't need to worry about it so much. Just whenever you remember, go ahead and do it. Now, I've seen people use regular spoons, silverware, to stir this, but as time goes on, it gets more and more acidic, and so I just like using the wood right from the beginning. Okay, so that's just about it. The next thing we want to do is we want it to breathe, but we don't want yuckies going in there and causing mold and stuff. And so all we do is we grab a paper coffee filter. A lot of people have little like cloth cozies you put over it. The idea is that it can breathe in and out without bad bacteria getting in there. We put the name of what it is and we put the date. We also mark it on the calendar. And you put that over the top of it. And then we just put a rubber band over it. Now, we take this, we put it on a shelf. You put it on a counter, whatever you want to do, preferably not in sunlight like this one is, but any place that's not in your wife's way if you're making it. And like I said, stir it every day. And in 6 to 8 weeks, it's going to be vinegar. It depends on the ambient temperature of your room. In the summer at 6 weeks, it was great. Now I'm letting it go more like 8 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer. A lot of people use test strips, and I think Stacy said to use a test strip. I just taste it. When it tastes right, I know that it's done. So this is going to go on the shelf. And part 2 of this is I'm going to grab some off the shelf. Okay, this I made the 28th of October, and I made it with apple. And so you can see if you look inside, there might be a little film on there. Don't worry about that. There's no green mold. Stacy says if there's green mold, just scoop it off. Don't worry about it. I haven't had that happen except for once, and the vinegar still came out fine. Sometimes it gets a, I forgot what it's called, but it gets like a gelatin layer on it. That's fine too. That's part of the mother. You can also see the mother down here at the bottom. It's kind of a powdery looking stuff. And if you've had apple cider vinegar, you know about mother, and you see it in the bottom of your commercial vinegar stuff too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, without making too much of a mess, to get rid of all of the stuff that's in here. Oops, so we can have vinegar now. You just pour it through the strainer, and what I'm going to do is try to catch all of the pieces. You see it's still dribbling. Just kind of let it dribble till it's done, and then get rid of those, and I'll pour some more. Okay, and then you can wash this up and reuse it. I have a great wife that does it for me. Okay, now you see I started out with all those pieces of apple, and I still have pieces of apple. These now will go to the chickens or to the compost pile for their final use. So now we've done 3 things with the apple instead of just 2. Okay, then grab whatever jars you have. This is an apple cider vinegar jar that we've taken the label off of. And we use, booze jars, anything that's glass. And then we just want to pour this in to here. I like to filter it a second time if I remember. And you're probably not going to see this very well. Pour it on in here. Don't get in too much of a hurry. because this strainer will pick up some. You want the mother in there, but you don't need to have it all in there. And if you've done it right, you're going to have just a little bit more than a jar's worth. Or sometimes just right out of jar. I may have poured too much in there. No. See, I've only got a tiny bit left. And there's some mother in there. But I'll just, we'll just use that right up first off. Okay. Then you take your lid and you put it on it. And there you have it. That's apple vinegar. Technically, it's not apple cider vinegar because to do that, you would have to press the apples to make the cider. And then from there, you would do the same thing, but you're doing it with just the juice. So this is apple vinegar. If you make one, like I made one with orange, and I didn't really like the flavor, there was nothing wrong with it, but it was an orange vinegar, and it was just my palate didn't prefer it. But every time my wife makes a Chinese dinner, like a stir-fry orange chicken, I think is what she makes, she uses that in that, and it's wonderful. Another thing that you can do with this, if you don't care for, like if you did a pear, you didn't like the taste of pear, you can use it as a cleaner, and it's going to smell great. You know, you use apple cider vinegar as cleaners. Anything that you would need something acidic for, it will work. Here's another one I made. You can see how clear this ended up compared to this. This one will clear up some once the mother settles down into the bottom, like this. This is a full bottle. We bottled on the 4th of October. We made on the 4th of October, and we bottled it on the 19th of November. And that's the next one that gets opened, and that's what it looks like. So I hope you enjoyed my short tutorial on making apple vinegar, and I hope you get a chance to try it yourself. I had free slices from the apple. The apples cost, but she made an apple pie. This was waste, and I turned that free item and a little bit of water and sugar into an entire jar of vinegar. So thank you for watching, and come on back soon. We'll try to get more videos up. We've been fighting winter. Thanks again.